This is a video honoring the 60th milestone birthday of Miss Kim Anderson, also known as Ms. Black Arizona 1989. Now we're going to just kind of do a sit-down interview where you can get to know Miss Kim on a different level than you probably have known her or get to know her for the first time.
Awesome. And thank you, Najat. It's wonderful being here. And I really appreciate everything that you're doing. This is beautiful. Thank you very much.
Tell us a little bit about your family, their ages and names and everything.
Of course, absolutely. I have 5 children. And my oldest son's name is Daniel. He's 40. And then I have my daughter, who is Ami, and she is 33. My son, Blake, which is my youngest son, is 31. I have Paris, which is 25, and Marisol is 24.
My next question is going to talk a little bit about how you grew up and
Okay.
your childhood. So I wanted to first ask, what were some of your earliest gifts or experiences in your life that would sort of foreshadow the woman you would become?
Thank you. I believe I was always a leader. I always had to be in charge. My mother used to tell me that all the time. I always had to be in control. I always had to be the charge. I always had to be the teacher. I always had to be the one that was running the show. And I haven't moved far from that. My name actually means pure leader, pure chief, so I guess I lived up to my name. I went to private school all of my life. I started out in parochial elementary school, and then after 8th grade, I went to all-girl high school in Chicago, actually in Hyde Park, and it was an amazing experience for me. My childhood was beautiful. It was wonderful. I'm very blessed to have had the type of childhood that I did.
And it's funny that you said that one of the things that people noticed was that you were a teacher at such a young age, because
very.
you shared with me your born name.
Yes.
And could you share with us like your name and the meaning behind it?
Absolutely. My first name is pronounced Boulanger, and my middle name is Kim. And my first name in any language, if it's French or in Spanish, is Blanca. It means white. And Kim means leader, chief. So my name means pure chief, pure leader. And I love it. And that's who I am.
And so, thinking more along your early days in life, from as early as you could remember, finish this sentence. You've always had a passion or a heart for...
Teamwork, being on a team.
Wow.
Training is my passion. So here I am, Coach Kim.
Yeah.
But yes, I love training. I love seeing the light bulb go off. I love being able to take a person from step A to step B and get the goal of step Z. And you spoke about winning a moment ago. Well, winning is different to every person. So that's one of the things I have to find out first is what does winning mean to you? Because it means something different to almost everyone.
Yes. Yes, especially when you coach.
Yes.
I wanted to move on and switch gears and get into the world of pageants.
Okay.
Because you are the person who introduced me to pageants.
Yes.
So, how were you introduced to pageants, Miss Kim?
This is interesting. I was actually modeling in a fashion show, and the best pageant director in the world was my pageant director. Her name is Vivian Phillips. And she was actually there at the fashion show, and I was just one of the models in the show. And the pageant was going to take place in maybe like 3 weeks. And so I didn't know her, but I was on the runway, and I was just coming back and forth modeling. And she said, while she was putting things up on the rack, have you ever thought about competing in the Ms. Black Arizona pageant? And so she kind of informed me about it and educated me and said that, well, we're having a rehearsal next Saturday, and so you should come. And she gave me a little bit more information about it. Well, I know I did mention that I'm competitive. So the rehearsal was at a Urban League, I think on 43rd Avenue in Thomas, if I'm
Urban
correct.
League is the best.
Yes. So I went to the Urban League, and my fiance at the time, I was 28 years old, and this was the Ms. MS, meaning okay, this is also very unique. In this particular pageant, you could have been married, divorced, single, or with child, meaning you could have had a child, where the other pageants did not do that. And the founder of the Ms. Black Arizona pageant wanted to create a platform where women of color, even if they would have had a child, have been married and divorced or single or was married, still had the opportunity to compete. You just had to be of a certain age, so 25 and older. So with that being said, she asked me about, did I know about competing? And I said no. She invited me to the rehearsal. And I don't know why I did this, but I wore an evening gown to the rehearsal. My fiance put on some fake glasses and had a briefcase, and he followed me into the rehearsal and sat behind me, and I sat in the evening gown like this. The funny part is I don't know why I did it, but here's the funny part. The girls were sitting there with rollers in their hair and shorts and house shoes at the Urban League as they practiced for like 4 or 5 hours. So they thought I was a former queen, and they thought I was a guest speaker. So they were waiting for me to speak. And when Vivian introduced me as a contestant, it was so funny because of the reaction. So I do recall getting up, and I spoke with Monica Ennis, who was the assistant director. And I said, I feel sorry for these girls. And she said, excuse me? I said, because I'm going to win. And I was coming in at the very, very end of it. And it was so funny. And she said she never forgot me for that. But I loved all my pageant sisters. I'm friends with all of them today. But I did come to win. I didn't come to place or show. I came to win.
It's one of those arenas where it does kind of bring out that fierceness.
Yes.
And as long as you don't get cutthroat, I mean, upping the ante is not anything to be ashamed of. Like,
of course.
That really invigorates people to bring out their best.
Absolutely.
You know,
and this pageant is different than all the other pageants. Not many, but all.
Yeah.
And the reason is because this is not, I repeat, not a beauty pageant.
Yeah.
Our pageant is not a beauty pageant. It does not focus on the prettiest eyes, prettiest dress, the smallest body, the lightest skin, the longest hair. That's not what it's about.
Yeah.
You have so many categories you have to compete in this pageant. You have a judges interview, of course, as you know, but you have a judges interview. You have a modeling segment. You have a talent segment. You have an evening gown segment. You have a question and answer segment. You have to have your personal introduction. You have to have a platform. And it's very intense. And this pageant is based around, we want to hear you talk. We want to see what you have to say or hear what you have to say. And the other thing, we don't have swimsuit competition.
Yeah, it was really different when I started working with the Miss Black Arizona pageant system. The way that the local pageant could be run versus what I was introduced to from mainstream America or mainstream media, which was like televised, Miss USA, Miss Congeniality informed my perception of pageants, right? But to hear of a scholarship pageant, I mean, what is the difference in your mind between a scholarship pageant and a beauty pageant? Like more humanistically, like what it pulls out of its contestants from a human level.
In the beauty pageant, mainly it's their choice of fashion and how they walk. They don't normally talk. They don't normally say anything. A scholarship pageant now for the Miss Black Arizona pageant depends on the age group if it's a scholarship pageant. For instance, there's so many different categories. You have the toddler, the tiny, the little, the miss, the princess, the teen, the junior teen. Then you have the teen, the miss, and the Ms. There's never been a Mrs. Not yet. But, however, not all of them are scholarship pageants. For instance, for my age category, it was not a scholarship pageant. We won some of the most amazing gifts. Oh, my gosh. But for the queen that's under me, who was Cece Peniston. Cece Peniston.
Shout out to Cece.
Yes, she actually won Miss Black Arizona 1989, and she was the one who introduced me when I won. And we traveled together to the national pageant for her, where she competed for Miss Galaxy, and she won that one as well. Of course,
we gotta love, we gotta love things.
That's right.
That's on my family playlist. She's so cool. That's cool. Those are those like little hidden gems of like being from Phoenix, like to know that you guys. We're in it together.
That's right.
That's really cool.
And the amazing thing that I love about this pageant is this is about enhancing education.
Yeah.
And not only that, about self-awareness. And this is also about finding out who you are and what you want to do. But the most important thing, again, as a coach and even as a contestant, you have to know what does winning mean to you. I'm going to give you an example. My two daughters competed in the pageant at the same time. One of them wanted to win, which is Paris. She competed for Miss Black Teen Arizona. She wanted to win, and she wanted to win really bad. She took first runner-up. And then my daughter, Ami, she did not want the title. Ami only wanted to do the modeling segment, and she wanted to do the talent segment and excel in both of those. She excelled in both of those areas, and she got first runner-up, and that's all she ever wanted. She never wanted the title. So it just depends on what winning is to you. Some people get into it because they want to maybe get rid of their fear of speaking before an audience. Some people are looking to enhance their career. Some people are looking for a speaking opportunity, for the scholarship money, to meet new friends just for fun on their bucket list. You'd be surprised why people enter a pageant. And there's some people who win, and I don't think that is the best thing for them. Wow. I also believe that sometimes the winner is the loser because they have the most to gain.
That's so deep.
Yes.
That is so deep. Yeah, and what's funny was when I met you, I didn't originally want to be a contestant for the pageant because I had no experience. I literally thought I was coming to just be a volunteer.
Right.
But you guys were so welcoming, and it seemed like such a worthwhile pursuit. So my next question is: you were crowned queen, and you were awarded prizes, which I hope you can like kind of lay it out for the people what some of your prizes were, which
Sure.
were pretty cool. And then I wanted to ask, what was it that made you expand your reach beyond that year of reigning as a queen in the world of pageants?
Okay, thank you. Yes, some of the presents that I received or gifts I received or won there was a diamond ring, there was luggage, I had a camera. I had gotten my own sponsors, and one of my sponsors was Switzer's. So Switzer's became my sponsor for a year, which means I got 7 dresses a week. I set that up for myself. I also had the sponsor of Jeep Eagle, and Jeep Eagle actually gave me a new vehicle for any type of festival that we would have, or parade, or for any event that was happening. I always had a vehicle. The other one was Culver, the Culver team. Culver team actually gave me a car. It was an amazing opportunity to get that. But in addition to not only winning the crown, the trophy, the sash, and the diamond ring, the luggage, and the camera, and all of the things I received from my sponsors, it was having the title and being a state ambassador and having the opportunity to, so I say, well, not only just represent Black women, but I believe every woman.
And I wanted to commend you because there's actually video footage from when you were on Little Miss Atlanta, when you've had to deal with some of those parents and their demands and how they kind of infiltrate this system.
So of course, here we go with this mama drama again. Excuse me. If you really believe that your daughter's as good as you say she is, then the proof is in the pudding. Be quiet. These girls did not come here for that. There's a time and a place for everything. Ladies, the hardest part of my job sometimes is not the kids, it's the parents. And that's what you don't understand. So what I'm gonna ask you up under the heading of the Little Miss Black U.S. pageant, this is not what we condone, this is not what we do. That's some Jerry Springer stuff you can take out there.
You never lost your cool. And what's funny is I would have expected, or I would have assumed, which is why you shouldn't assume, but I would have assumed because you have the power to be like the loudest person in the room, that to get a parent in their place, it's about like taking them down or saying something catty, and you just represented to the utmost.
Thank you.
And that there's an integral scene that I'm thinking about where you confronted a parent. I was just so proud because I was a little worried thinking that this is going to be on reality TV.
Right.
You know, wondering how we were going to be represented, but that was an amazing representation.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
It was really fun to watch. Okay, so after winning Ms. Black Arizona 1989, how did the rest of your competitive career go in pageants?
Thank you. I competed in one, Miss Black Velvet and Miss Miller Lite. And then I competed for Mrs. Arizona, for Mrs. America, and I placed in the top 10. And so I was very excited about that. And I actually did it twice. And one of the times I was the only Black female, so I loved it. And I loved it when I had the opportunity to represent Phoenix because my title was Mrs. Phoenix. So I had a chance to be Mrs. State Capital. But it was an amazing experience. It's absolutely totally different than this one.
And what is your focus when you coach contestants, and how did you get into coaching?
Okay, thank you. I would get a lot of requests from friends or people who had coached and asked me what was it like winning, and to teach them how to win and what should they do. And I knew that in winning anything, it's about consistency. I don't care what you want to do in life. What I normally tell people is that I don't coach how to win pageants, I coach how to win in life. A lot of things people don't understand is pageant is a numbers game. It is the number at the very end. It only takes a decimal for you to lose. So that means you need to be consistent in every category. And that is from the very beginning, from the judges interview, all the way until the question and answer on stage. You have got to do your best in every category to be able to solidify winning at the end. And now you may not win every category, but it is the consistency and the collaboration of those scores that bring you to the final score at the end is the one to win.
Okay, so I have to ask you, and I don't know if maybe you should answer this as yourself in the past or yourself now, but what was winning to you?
Wonderful.
And why were you in pageants? I want to ask those two.
Okay. Winning to me was having the opportunity, because my mother was in the audience, to be able to see me excel. I had fun doing it. I thought it was amazing. And I just knew that if I got in it, that I was planning on winning it. That's it. That's all. Whatever that meant. So what it meant to me was the fact that when I stood on that stage and my question was, outside of being successful in your marriage and your career, what else do you want to do? And I said, I want to be one of the most powerful women in the world, and I want to make a difference. Ooh. And so to this day, I have been doing that. Yeah. I also, when I won, if you see the video, the very first thing I did is I lifted up and said, thank you, Jesus. So to me, God granted me that opportunity to have a title, and I've used that title to be able to enhance other people's and other young ladies' lives. I've coached male and female. I've done etiquette coaching. I've done pageant coaching. I've done life coaching. I've coached people for commercials. I have a client now that's competing for a prestigious title. She's 63 years old, about to turn she just turned 64. I take that back. And she's my client now. She's competing.
I spoke with her, Patricia Person.
Yes, absolutely.
Cool.
Yes, she's competing for Mrs. Senior Arizona. And she's amazing. And it is about being able to, sometimes I have to take a client and literally scrape off that outer shell and get to the core of who they are. And sometimes they don't even know why they're competing, and they don't even understand what's the best part of them. And it's to being able to mold and chisel and develop that person into being that contestant. One person that comes to mind is Michaela Lupampa. And I told her I was going to mold her to be Queen of Uganda. And oh my God. That's an understatement. She won the title. She's gone on to be one of the most amazing and beautiful models. And then the things that you learn in the pageant, like I said, you learn how to do a job interview. You learn how to have a conversation with your significant other, with your parents, and be able to speak respectfully. It's a lot of different things you pick up from the pageant more than the crown and the sash. These things here can go away. They can tarnish, they can get turned, they can burn. But who you are inside and what you do for your fellow man and how you assist kids and how you help the elderly, and if you make a difference with the hungry or the homeless or helping to build a home, you don't need a crown and a sash to be a queen. You have to have it in your heart to do it first.
You're not just being coached to be a performer
That's
on
right.
a stage.
That's right.
You're actually being molded, like you said, to be a bridge between a community.
That's right.
Competing in a pageant is one thing, but receiving coaching is a whole
absolutely.
other life enriching
That's right.
thing. And you have the ability to bond with someone.
As I do with all of mine.
Yeah.
I'm Coach Kim, pardon me, or I'm Auntie Kimmy.
Yeah, because you spend a lot of time with your contestants.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
4 hour mandatory, preferably 4 times a week. Parents have to be present. But the things that I coach are not only just about standing and sitting and walking and talking and modeling and answering questions, but I want to know if they can understand and even have a conversation with me. For instance, things that are happening abroad. You should know what's happening in your state if you're from Arizona. What's the state flower? What's the state bird? What are the names of the first family? Can you tell me the name of every member of the first family? You should know that if you're going to be an ambassador for a state. If you agree or don't agree with the political party that's in place, you still should know who are the members of your first family. It is my love to see the young girls see the spark that comes in them. And even the women, I love it. Even for my client I'm teaching now, for her to think that she can't do something and to see her grow, to be able to allow yourself to make mistakes and to be able to laugh at yourself sometimes, but to also be able to see a different perspective and a different side, to know a different angle on how you can do something. And I have some of the most amazing relationships with many of them, actually. And we lost one, Chelsea Anderson. Yeah, yes. Much love to Chelsea Anderson. I love Chelsea. I was coaching Chelsea and Raven Green at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yes, R.I.P. to Chelsea, who was a title winner.
Absolutely. And so one of my fondest memories is that we had the same last name, so everyone thought we were related.
Oh, that's
and
true.
I love Chelsea so much, my little ballerina. She was so special.
Yeah.
One of the things that I loved about Chelsea was not only her performance on stage, but how sweet she was. She had a kind and gentle heart. And I just really and truly enjoyed that about her. But yes, we kind of missed Chelsea. We lost her. Chelsea passed on. Mm-hmm. However, that was another one that was very, very special to me. But all my girls are. I mean, you've got Natasha and Eternity and Shantae and there's so many of them. It's like, wow, all the names just come piling in. But there's lots of girls.
I met Chelsea Anderson when she was a teen contestant, and I was in the Miss Division at the same pageant. And she made an impact on me for her positivity.
Yes,
and she
she's such a
came
sweetheart.
in. You could tell that family poured a lot into her as far as like her talent and you know the costume she had and everything. But years later, at her going home service, and I feel like this was when you and I got reacquainted after like a time apart.
Yes.
And to see you show up at her funeral service and dedicate a portion of that to her for
Thank
her
you.
involvement in the pageant. I mean, you came, your voice rang out across that funeral home. It was like the voice of like an angel, like a justified angel. And it was
Wow,
like
thank
you were
you.
like heralding like her role in the pageant and, you know, her short time on this planet. And like you really brought to life that she did have her time and her
That's
moment
right.
in the sun.
That's right.
And, you know, I remember at that time, I had just had my son. He was like a toddler at the time. I didn't yet have a daughter. And I remember thinking, if I ever have a daughter, what would that connection be like? There's just some things that just felt so unknown. But in that moment, when you were honoring Chelsea's life, I was like, that's part of what a daughter is about. Just
Amen.
the joy that a girl can bring
That's right.
to the world, whether
That's
she's
right.
on stage or off. And luckily, she was one of the few who could do it on stage
Yes.
before she went. So I will never forget that you did that for her, Miss Kim.
Thank you. Awesome. I
That
love
was so
Chelsea.
beautiful.
And I loved her mom and her
Yeah,
dad.
they were.
She had one wonderful support
They
system.
are. They are amazing. I wanted to speak about your future in pageants. First of all, just on an individual level, what do you see your involvement in pageants being?
Well, personally, I would like to compete again. I would like to compete for Mrs. Senior Arizona. You have to be 60 years old to compete, so guess what?
Wow.
Yes, I would love to compete. If I had a chance, I would love for this organization to do a Queen of Queen pageants, meaning that every queen that's won the title in this category would come back and compete against each other for Queen of Queens. And they could
Wow.
do that in all the different categories.
On a more communal level, what would your dream pageant production be like in a
Oh,
local
thank you.
scene?
Absolutely. I would like to do an actual pageant where the opening number was very theatrical, like The Wizard of Oz, or like The Wiz, more so, where you had the dancers and it was yellow, 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 yellow with the dancing. I would love to bring something like that to the stage. The one thing that is missing to be able to make something like that happen is that the volunteer system that we had when I competed, that's not in place anymore. These volunteers that competed, that helped when I competed, they were all from corporate America. And there was one over one over finances, one over merchandising, one over the pageant book. There was one over the scholarship, one over your fees, one over your ads. You had someone that was over and specialized in every single area. And these people did that for the areas where they specialize in their professional life.
Wow.
And so the hard part is getting volunteers, because sometimes people want to be a part of this, but they think there's money involved. There's no money involved, not in our pageant. There's so many girls that compete in our pageant that we actually sponsor, meaning they don't pay anything to get in. And then once you have to pay for not only the facility and all of the amenities and the catering and all of those things and the insurance for the pageant, just everything, there's no money left. There's nothing left to div up. And that's another part that I've had to deal with, is that people don't want to get involved if they can't get paid. But it's not about us, it's about the community and about our girls.
Absolutely. So, as we close, I wanted to know if there was any person, as you look back on your life and especially your journey with pageants, that you wanted to personally thank for either setting the bar high for you, for really supporting you, for really bringing your gifts to life in the pageant scene, or anybody you want to thank.
Absolutely. And first of all, it would be Vivian Phillips. Vivian Phillips, like I said, was my state director, and she was the one who invited me to the pageant, and that changed the course of my life as well as the course of others' lives, because I became so impactful in their life. She ran the most organized pageant that I've ever seen, with a list and a host of volunteers. Vivian was very engaging. She already knew what she wanted. She was in charge. She ran a very smooth show, and you didn't have to worry about the yoke-doke. When the pageant was over, everyone went home and there were no problems. I would love to be able to do something like that, have a pageant where there are visitors and where there are people who are actually coming to help, and that where there are people actually coming to volunteer, because it's a completely different category for all. Some people just want to come and visit, and they just want to get an idea of what's going on. Some people want to come and get grounded in, they want to help. And then there's some people that come and they actually want to participate, or they want to find a way to sponsor. I think our community is missing everything and everyone. Because just like it takes a village to run a child, it takes a village to maintain a business.
Absolutely. So big thank you to Vivian Phillips. And as we end this interview, I just wanted to say thank you, Miss Kim, for your work and dedication here in the Valley.
Yes.
Thank you for all the teams you joined, all the hours you put in,
Yes.
all the obstacles you overcame, all the sponsorships you secured. You really cemented my college years. Like, I
good.
really didn't do much extracurriculars, but looking back, that was such an integral thing for me in helping develop me as a young adult and thinking what I could do as a young woman. Because I knew you were doing it as a passion project.
Yes.
Thank you for being who you are.
Thank you.
There are so many of us who look up to you, who relate to you, and who needed your example and will continue to need your example.
Yes.
And thank you for your passion. Because I think that we need to see more of that outside of the workforce, outside of the hustle and bustle, and it keeps me going. So thank you so much, and thanks for sitting for this interview and allowing me to celebrate you on your 60th year.
And thank you very much for that, but also no, I'm not done.
That's classic.
So I'm telling you, hands down, I'm coming for the crown.
She's not done. Thank you.
And thank you as well. I love you, Mommy. I love you so much, baby.